Welcome into the Hustle Show podcast, week number 9 of college football, week number 8 of the NFL. I am Drew Martin, joined by Adam Trigger, CT Betts, and the talented, the beautiful Ariel Epstein with the best career trajectory I've ever seen, and she knows her sports betting. Without further ado, Ariel Epstein, welcome on in. Good to have you, Queen.
Thanks so much, guys. I love hanging with the boys. Unfortunately, Kelly in Vegas and I will be on an adventure this weekend without you. We know, though, in 3 weeks, all of us, well, maybe not Drew. I don't think Drew's coming, but the rest of us are going to be in the Caribbean. But Drew doesn't come with us because he's in the Caribbean like every other day.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if they got flights from Mexico at that time, but I might just go over in a raft. Who knows? I might just show up that day. Keep it.
That
keep
sounds very
open.
fitting for you, Drew.
You're
going to take a nap. You can take a nap on the raft.
Ride. I can see it.
Something like that. CT Bet 16, Chris Thurston, VivaTequilaSeltzer.com. CT, welcome in, buddy.
Drew, always a pleasure to be here with you guys. It's very nice that the Queen was, nice enough to join us tonight because she's going away tomorrow. I'm going away tomorrow. I'm going down to Baylor's homecoming. So always a pleasure here. We got some good football games on the slate for tonight and ready to cash some tickets.
CT
that backdrop looks beautiful. Yeah. Wow.
He's got a new little studio, Queen. No big deal.
It's like a disco.
Love it.
Almost there for CT, guys. Trig, welcome in, buddy. How you feeling?
I feel good. I think CT's got like 8 monitors total in that room now. If you count TVs and screens that are like near his desk, I think he's got 8 monitors. No, everything's good. Looking forward to another week of college football. CT Betts and I are still alive in Survivor with a couple entries. And I think we're like 3 off the lead in Westgate Super Contest. So just look forward to the weekend now. Hopefully we can keep it going. 4-1 last week for us in the Super Contest. So try to find some more winners here.
We got big game breakdown, best bets. First up, CT Bet 16 on Twitter. He's got something, I believe, in Lane Stadium, little Enter Sandman, Syracuse, Virginia Tech. What are we thinking?
Yeah, Drew, this one goes in a little bit here. 7:30 tip, Syracuse at Virginia Tech. And shout out to my boy, loyal listener, Keith Bayou Betts Landry, for bringing this game to my attention a few days ago. And this is, Drew, your typical Cuse football team. Trig's not going to like to hear this, but, they start out strong by blowing weaker teams out, and then they play some good teams, and they get blown out. And last 3 have been tough losses for them. Clemson, UNC, Florida State. I expect them to lose 4 straight after tonight down in Blacksburg. Cuse just lacks explosive plays, and the run defense has been getting exposed in ACC play, and I think that continues tonight. The switch at Triggerman from Wells to the mobilized sophomore, the transfer, Kyron Drones from Baylor, wonders for this offense. I knew this kid was going to be special 2 years ago when he was a redshirt freshman down in Waco. And I'm happy he's getting a shot here because he's really talented, and we've been seeing it as he's come in and played for the Virginia Tech Hokies here. Tough place to play under the lights in Blacksburg. Going to be rocking. Thanks to Bayou for this little tidbit here. The Hokies, 12 all-time when playing on Thursday night, and 8-3 against the spread at home since 2019. Enter Sandman's going to be rocking in TC Sportsbook, Drew, and in Blacksburg. Hokies get it done tonight. Play on Virginia Tech, -2.5.
All right, CT Sportsbook going to be rocking with the Hokies. Music playing loud. We got Adam Trigger, I believe, involved in Thursday night football here for big game breakdown as well. What, a little professional football? Is that where we're heading, Trig?
Yeah, we're just going to head a little further down I-90 to Buffalo. Listen, just real quick about Syracuse. Brian Power told me the big orange S in Syracuse stands for September, the only month they win football games. So that was from our friend Brian Power about Syracuse football. I'm heading a little further west, Bills, Bucks. I think the Bills are going to smash here. I really kicking myself for not giving this out like right away when it was like 7.5. Obviously, it's been bet up. There was some rumors that Baker Mayfield might not play. I think he's probably going to give it a go, and I think that that's actually preferred in my opinion. I like betting against these quarterbacks that are banged up but that try to play. almost more so than I would want to, bet against a backup quarterback that a team didn't really prepare for all week. The Bucs have other injuries, of course, short week. Vita Vea banged up, a couple linemen are banged up, and the team that's been the lesser team, the underdog. Obviously, the Bills are a better team. You can see that in the number. The dog tends to struggle when they have to travel on these short week situations. The big favorites have really done well on Thursday Night Football, which is another reason I'm not too concerned laying the points with the Bills here. And then it's just the Bills in general. Horrible back-to-back weeks. Should have lost to the Giants. CT was in the building last week. They lose to the Patriots. Josh Allen has been god-awful. But, I think he turns it around. This is a matchup that should be good for him. The Bucs, they don't generate a ton of pressure on the quarterback, and they don't always get home on their blitz. That tends to be a good scenario for Josh Allen. He usually plays well when he can escape pressure. And I just think that there's going to be, Vea's not in there. They might be able to run the ball too, which is just another sort of bonus when it comes to backing the Bills here. As far as Mayfield or whoever the quarterback is, like I said, I'm assuming it's Mayfield. I haven't seen anything otherwise at this point. The Bills are going to get after him. Their pass rush is still elite. The defense has struggled, but the pass rush has still been really good. And anytime you get a Baker Mayfield in a scenario where he's going to be rushed, he's going to have to get rid of the ball quickly. It's usually not a great scenario for him and then for the Bucs. So honestly, guys, I think you could lay any number here. I prefer to get anything under 10. I think before we came on, it was like 9.5, 10. But this feels like a double-digit win to me for the Bills. So Bills will be my big game breakdown goes tonight at 8:15.
Yeah, seeing it mostly 10s, 9.5 is available. So, there you go, guys.
Wow.
Thursday Night Football. Ariel.
That really moved. That moved a lot. It was 8.5 when I saw it. See, I saw that I was looking at this total. It's low. It's 42.5, which made me a little nervous. Then thought, okay, maybe the Bucs just don't score because the Bills are such heavy favorites. I looked at the Bills team total over on that game. Bills team total over 24.5 points. It was now bet up to 26.5. Got that a couple of days ago. The Bills are averaging 28.5 points per game on Thursday Night Football the last 2 seasons. And you've got this Buccaneers team on a short week on the road. And Josh Allen, he's great off a loss. He's been, I think Stephon Diggs is averaging like 100 receiving yards a game in prime time. So I like that play on the Bills. I just went the team total over route, so I didn't have to worry about what the Buccaneers do against an also banged up Buffalo defense, Drew.
Sure. I mean, you bring up Josh Allen. Are you worried about at all about his play? It's not the Josh Allen of 2 years ago. You think he'll bounce back fashion?
I'm not worried about Josh Allen. I'm just worried about getting some more receivers open. And the only thing that worries me about the Bills, aside for getting more receivers involved, aside for Stephon Diggs, who has 78 targets, and the next best is Gabe Davis with 35. You need to get more receivers in, but they also are just so one-dimensional in regards to their passing game because, you have Josh Allen whose legs work. What about their run game? They never utilize their running backs. So I think that makes people think, okay, we know that they're going to throw. But the defense is what scares me for the Bills going forward. You lost Matt Milano, your linebacker. You lost Tre'Davious White, your best corner. So that's going to be where the Bills struggle. Not so much in their with Josh Allen. That's not their problem.
Ariel, that's such a good point. Like, it's not going to I don't think it matters here because I think their pass rusher is going to be able to pressure Mayfield. But when the Bills actually play a decent offensive team, you might want to come back and play against them for that reason. I'm almost hoping
they need to pick someone up at the trade deadline. They're going to have to pick up a corner or a linebacker, somebody.
I hope they smash here so we can come back and play them against them in a previous week once they play a better offensive team for sure.
Yeah, okay. And I wanted to do my big game breakdown. It wasn't going to be – oh, CT, were you chiming in?
Yeah, before you go, I just wanted to chime in. So I was at the game. I think Josh Allen is – I'm not disagreeing with you guys on the game at all. I think Josh Allen is a little more banged up than everybody thinks. He made some terrible throws on Sunday, and you could tell that shoulder is hurting him. And him and Stephon Diggs, they haven't exactly been on the same page. There's something off between them. Something's not right. I don't know what it is. I was sitting pretty close to the bench. They're usually sitting next to each other. They weren't really talking. Diggs wasn't sitting near Allen. So something was off there. Throw that out there. I think that Allen is a little more dinged up than he's making, or the Bills are making things out to seem to be.
All makes sense. Ariel, I know that MLB Network, and we're a football show, but you got that going on. We got the World Series starting tomorrow. Do you want to throw out any thoughts here?
Yeah, you mentioned big game breakdown. I mean, what bigger game is going on than the World Series? You got to look to these overs in Arlington. Texas is averaging just over 6 runs a home game. And then you've got them on the road in Arizona through games 3 through 5. Then you can bet your unders. That's going to be my approach throughout the World Series. Overs in Arlington, unders in Arizona. And when it comes to the World Series itself, I know Trig's going to probably, I don't know how Trig feels about the World Series, and Drew, I don't know about you either. I know Trig was on the Diamondbacks for the last couple of games, which was incredible, a great call. Everyone loves the Rangers. I mean, I'm seeing majority of people saying that the Rangers are no doubt winning this World Series. The Rangers blew winning the AL West the last weekend of the regular season when they dominated that division for 95% of the year. Why on earth am I going to start trusting the Rangers now? So if I'm going to pick, I'm going to take a +2, I think it's +205. You could get the games to go to 6 or 7. So I like that. I wouldn't mind taking maybe +1.5 games on the Diamondbacks to keep this series close. Even though the Diamondbacks are not that exciting to watch, they are a scrappy team. The Rangers, they might have to rely on home runs because I don't trust their bullpen. I always back the team with a better bullpen. That's Arizona. But again, game by game, the way that you play the World Series, overs in Arlington, unders in Arizona.
Like the breakdown there, Ariel. And around your circles with MLB Network, are you hearing anything with what people are saying about the ratings and things like that? Because I know a lot of people are kind of chiming in that, it's not big name markets, things of that nature. Excited for this series. I think it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, people aren't that thrilled about it. Not at the network level. I'm just saying in general, from what I've heard, Philly would have been a bigger market number size, but no one's really talked about it. Of course, at MLB Network, they're going to hype up the World Series no matter what. At first, I was a little disappointed because it wasn't the Phillies and the Rangers. That was the more head-to-head, two teams very similar matchup. Then it grew on me. The Diamondbacks definitely are a team that, I mean, we haven't seen it before down 0-2, and you come back, you have to win the last 2 games on the road. Both those teams did that. I think both these teams have just overachieved this year, and I think it could be a very good World Series.
Yeah, it should be exciting, guys. World Series coming around. Are you going to be on the network here for the next couple weeks?
Probably not, because Mad Dog is actually on the road. So funny backstory there. Mad Dog was not supposed to be at the World Series. And now Mad Dog is doing his shows all remote because they want to throw him in the Diamondbacks' faces every single day for saying that he was going to retire if the Diamondbacks came back and went to the World Series. So now he gets to confront the enemy every day at the World Series.
I know, that was wild. I almost feel like people are going to want to hold him to that, but obviously he's making good money doing what he loves.
Now he has to back them. Now he has to sit there and be a Diamondbacks fan. It's hilarious.
Wild stuff.
I love the doggy. He's the best.
Yeah. You grew up watching him, right, Ariel?
Oh yeah, we all did.
Yeah, and then to work with him, that's pretty cool. Tough follow here, guys, but I'll try to do it. Cocktail party, Georgia and Florida. Yeah, it's a big one in North Florida for sure. So world's largest outdoor cocktail party. I'm on the dog here. Florida Gators +14.5, stay within 2 touchdowns. Graham Mertz just threw for over 420 yards in his last game off the bye week. Actually, both teams, but Georgia's not going to get Brock Bowers back. If you remember, they went up against Auburn. They could have lost that game. And I think Florida's a step up from Auburn. So I think they keep it close. +500 on the money line. Risk 100 to win 500 if the Gators can pull it out. Touch that a little bit too. But for the best, or not for best bet, for big game breakdown here, guys, I'm on the Gators +14.5. Remember, Georgia just 2-5 against the spread. They''ve been overpriced this season. So we got big game breakdown in the books. We got best bets coming up. Anybody else want to throw anything out before we get to best bets here?
Drew, I just want to know how your trip to Auburn was.
Trig, it was amazing. Let me tell you this: like the talent on the field for Auburn is not good. Like I'm not looking to bet on them, but I will tell you this, man. For what, a 3-4 team under 500, Trig, I walk in to my alma mater, and there is just tents and tailgating for like as far as you could possibly see. Everybody's just in a great mood, drinking whiskey, tailgating, cooking. I was blown away with just that city overall, man. On the Plains is absolutely popping. I don't know where everybody's getting all this money from and all that, but the tailgating scene was one of the best I've ever seen, man. For a team that's 500 playing against Ole Miss, I was not expecting that. I was very impressed. I was proud to be an Auburn alumni. Having said that, the team this year, I doubt I will bet on them again sidewise, man. But it was a great time. And the atmosphere in the stadium, wow, man. I haven't felt something like that in quite a while, man. It was awesome, to answer your question in a long form way.
That's cool. I got to get down there at some point. Never been to that stadium, never been to that campus, but I will. Whether I make it there I'll definitely make it there for a basketball game at some point, but hope to catch a football game as well.
The new Auburn, well, it's not that new anymore, but that Auburn arena, that's popping too, man. They got the basketball team rolling. I feel like outside shot here in the next couple years to be like the best basketball football combo. We had it rolling for a little while. We'll see if we can get it back there in Auburn. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. Thanks for asking. But I guess we got best bets coming up. So going around the horn here, CT Bets 16 on Twitter. Chris Thurston, best bets, final thoughts.
Yeah, Drew, closing thoughts. Not sure if anybody caught the Westgate standings, but Trig and I jumped back into the top 10. Again, we are tied for 6th in the Westgate for the NFL contest. So, Drew, you know how tough that is. Picking 5 NFL games isn't easy. So, hopefully, Trig and I could keep that rolling. And, Drew, of Auburn, Trigger Man, I'm going Oregon, Utah for my best bet. Bo Nix has been very, very good this year so far for the Duckies, Drew. They have a great offensive line to keep them protected. Let's keep in mind, he struggled on the road in his career here. Utah, the other side of the ball, they've been Cam Rising-less, and they're going to be without him for the rest of the year. And so Barnes has been very good in his place, especially last week in a nice win over USC. The Utes have held their own so far without him, and they're also very well coached with Kyle Whittingham. Now, Drew, a little concerning to back Utah if the game gets in a shootout, right? Offense probably wouldn't be able to keep up with them. I don't think the game's going to go that way. There's a reason Utah has won 18 home games in a row and 29 of their last 30 at home. The crowd noise is pretty hard for Bo Nix to call the plays and communicate with his offense. And going against one of the best defensive lines in the country is going to make it pretty hard for the good offensive line for Oregon when you factor everything in here. I just think the Utes are underrated still and would probably be in playoff talk if Cam Rising was playing. Whittingham is the best coach in the Pac-12 right now, in my opinion, and that home field advantage is real. I trust him to come up with some ways to win and, more importantly, stay within the number. So my best bet for this week, Utah Utes plus 6.5.
We lined up on them last week and got the cash there, CT. I'll tell you, there was actually a conversation I had today on the Every Game on the Board podcast. Kyle Whittingham, best coach in college football, CT Bets. What do you think? Like, where does he rank?
I'd put him top 5, Drew. What he's done with that Utah team has been pretty impressive. I mean, think about it. They've been in the hunt at least the past, 5-6 years. They've had some huge wins. They can't lose at home. They're tough to beat. Remember last year, that comeback win over USC. USC had them. They had him up against the ropes. Whittingham has been outstanding, and it stinks that he's gotten, I don't want to say screwed, but Cam Rising's injuries the past couple of years has really held this Utes team back here. But Drew, I don't disagree. I'd say Whittingham in the top 5 for sure.
Oh yeah, I agree with that for sure. We got Ariel Epstein here, the queen, the prop queen. Ariel, you got to let people know like where they can watch your stuff. I can't almost keep up anymore, but I know you're a good follow on Twitter. A lot of fun. Take it away. Final thoughts, best bet.
You can follow along at Ariel Epstein on Twitter, Ariel Epstein on Instagram. I've got the podcast at PointsBet. I do a lot of shows on MLB Network, and I'm starting up NBA TV next Tuesday. So on Halloween, that'll start up. So my best bet, I've been fluctuating because there's been a lot of concern about the 49ers quarterback, Brock Purdy. If Purdy does play, this is a really good opportunity to jump in right now at Niners -4. I love the Niners this week. They're coming off back-to-back terrible road losses, finally back home. I don't trust Cincinnati. I don't trust their offense. I don't trust their defense. I trust the Niners D. Even without Deebo Samuel, I trust Purdy and McCaffrey and Ayuk. I trust everyone else in San Francisco. The Bengals are coming off a bye, and that helps nothing. The Bengals are 1-4 straight up, 2-4 against the spread, coming off a bye against the NFC in their last 6 tries. You got to go across the country. You got to play a team that you don't really know, who just happens to be the best defense in the NFL. I'm laying it with the Niners. Take advantage of a -3.5, -4, as long as we know, or as long as you think Brock Purdy's going to play. This one's going back to 5.5 if he's in.
Great breakdown from Ariel Epstein, taking the time to join us right here on The Hustle. Thursday night, 7 o'clock Eastern. I'm going to go Massachusetts and Army, guys, and I'm going to jump on Army as the academy here, laying 9.5. I think that's really telling. This UMass defense, man, they've been awful. I mean, they just let up over 60 points to Penn State a couple weeks ago, and now going up against Army, they're letting up over 260 yards rushing on the season. They're also letting up 6 yards per carry, talking about the UMass defense. And now they're going up against the option attack of Army, not full option, but pretty much option principle is going to keep the ball on the ground, grind it out. I think they're going to be able to move the ball and just kind of, run away with it in the second half, so to speak, because they run the same offense the whole game. It's not like they're running spread and then they get a big lead and then kind of slow it down with a bunch of ISOs and dives. This is the same offense in the fourth quarter when they're up 2 touchdowns as it is in the first quarter. So therefore, I just don't think the Minutemen have it defensively here. So Army being at home, -9.5, pretty much across the board right now. That will be my best bet for the show. Throw it over to Adam Trigger. Best bets at Top Flight SI to finish us off here, Trig. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, Joe. Well, I'm glad you gave us a pick in that game because I'm trying to talk Mallory into taking a ride out to West Point on Saturday.
Yes.
So it's going to be 78 degrees in the last week of October for an Army home game. We usually try to get to one. Absolutely beautiful campus, phenomenal time. If you get a chance to go to West Point and catch an Army game, you should absolutely do it. It's great. As far as my best bet is concerned, I'll stay college football. I'm going to go to the MAC. Kelly calls these the directional schools. It took me like a long time to figure out what she was talking about. And then I realized she's talking about like Eastern, Western, Central Michigan. Like they have like, they're like the lesser schools. I don't know why it took me so long to put 2 and 2 together, but we have 2 directional schools facing off in the MAC, Western Michigan, Eastern Michigan. And, this Western Michigan team is a team that I keep ending up like watching for whatever reason. Like ever since the beginning of the season, they came up here, played a game at Syracuse. I felt like they weren't as bad as the final score indicated. Like Syracuse played an insane, efficient offensive game in that game. I remember CT and I talking about him the next week because I know CT's got a big bet on Iowa, and they played an awesome first half against the Iowa Hawkeyes. Ended up, kind of fizzling out in the second half. But still, a really good half of football against a good Iowa team. The following week, I had action in like the second half on Toledo, and Toledo came back and ended up covering the second half play. But like they were up 24-14 at half, over 400 yards of total offense. And then when I was researching my Mississippi State play last week, I'm digging into the Western Michigan Mississippi State numbers, and it's another one where they put 413 yards of total offense up on a far superior team. Caught a little bit of the Ohio Western Michigan game last week. Felt like they played well there. And you go up and down their schedule. They really haven't played poorly yet relative to what the number has been in their game. Their MAC games, they smash Ball State. They hang around with Miami of Ohio. And for the most part, I've been impressed with them. Eastern Michigan, on the other hand, is just not a good football team. Chris Creighton's a good coach, and the defense isn't bad, but Austin Smith might be the worst starting quarterback I've watched play in all of college football so far this season. I bet Eastern Michigan against Jacksonville State is trying to fade that Jacksonville State team. I don't know why they've been doing that all year. They scored 0 points, got shut out. He was miserable. Caught some of the Eastern Michigan UMass game. He was atrocious there. That was a horrible football game. It's just like I typically don't love the road 3-point favorite. It's not my style usually, but I just see two teams that I think Western Michigan is so much better than this Eastern Michigan team. And so I'm just going to lay the field goal. Both these teams have a week 10 bye. Drew, I like to play against the teams that have the late bye weeks. In this case, they both are off next week before the MAC starts playing in the middle of the week. But Eastern Michigan fizzled out a little bit second half last week. I'm hoping they're a little tired here. And if they are, I think Western Michigan wins this one going away. So Western Michigan -3, it's a 4% play for me and my best bet for the show.
Michigan MAC trophy, that when they all three play each other, like the academies do for the trophy, that's what they're calling it. Michigan MAC trophy.
That's great. I didn't know that, Drew. That's great. I'm sure our producer, Chris Allen, probably knew that. He went to Central Mich. So, the Chippewas. But yeah, that's great.
Yeah, he's a Chippewa. Hey, Trig, you brought up Jacksonville State real quick. Did you see that catch kick interference call?
Yeah, of course I did.
The game. Oh my god!
Of course I did. I was on Florida International plus the points last night. That sucked. CT was on it too. That was a total killer. Florida International had all the momentum. They dug themselves a huge hole, 21-point hole, but they had all the momentum at that point. That was a backbreaker. That was tough.
Well, it's just the call in general. Why did he even call it CT? That's what I want to get after.
I was losing my mind. They were down 11, and they would have had the ball back on the 20, going in. Even then, I was going nuts in CT Sportsbook, going, there was no one. He was nowhere near him. He didn't even touch him. And then the announcer screaming, he's going, no one was near him. They got to take a look at this. This is ridiculous. He said, of all the terrible calls this past weekend in college football, he said that takes the cake. I didn't disagree.
Yeah. No, I mean, usually a terrible call, it's like, okay, that wasn't holding or something like that. That was just a flag there was no even reason to throw it. I don't know.
Yeah,
FIU goes down. Yeah. Hey, Adam Trigger, CT Bets. I am Drew Martin. Ariel, anything before we shut this down?
Good luck to your bets tonight, everybody.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll be back next Thursday. Peace.